offense. So while those players did get paid peanuts on the dollar back in the day, that was a completely different economic climate too. You've got these mega billion-dollar television deals that just weren't available back then. That type of money just wasn't there, as to where the United States is the biggest entertainment bureau in the world. Everyone watches our TV shows, our sports. If the money would have been there back in the day, those guys would have got paid what they were due to.
Hey, you heard it right here on the Extra Point. That's Jeremy Coleman coming out of Indiana. He says Troy Aikman. Now, let's take it all the way out to New Jersey. So, tell me, what do you got? Robert?
Rolling. Normally I do agree with my colleague Jeremy, but I have to say I respectfully disagree. And I would have to throw all the money into the backfield and towards Emmitt Smith. And the reason why I say that is because in today's game, of course, the NFL has catered the quarterback position and made the game open, high scoring, high volume. But back in the day, it was all about the running game, and pretty much Emmitt Smith carried the Cowboys to a lot of those Super Bowls on his back. So I would definitely have to give all that money to Emmitt Smith.
Ooh, you heard it right here. Once again on the Extra Point. You got Robert coming out of New Jersey saying, give it to Emmitt Smith. Now, let's take it to the bright lights in the big city, New York. Justice, who are you giving that big contract to?
Either Emmitt Smith or that quarterback. I was leaning towards Larry Allen. I mean,
wow, Larry Allen.
When you have a lineman like a Hall of Fame lineman like Larry Allen, guys like the Troy Aikmans, they're not going to stand up a whole lot. They're going to be flat on their backs. But I was leaning towards Larry Allen, but I got to go all the way to prime time on this one.
Oh wow, Deion Sanders.
You think about the quarterbacks who can take away half of the field, like the Charles Woodsons, the Richard Shermans, the Darrell Reeveses. It's so rare to find a corner who can just completely take away a whole side of the field, put fear in the quarterbacks, and that's not all he did. This man played offense, special teams. He did everything for a team, and this guy, whenever a guy only runs a 40-yard dash at the combine, runs it probably the fastest 40-yard dash ever, and then runs straight in his limo, that is swag that you will never see. I'll tell you that.
That was one for the history books. That was definitely one for the history books there, Justice. He did pull that off, and he definitely made a lot of news with that. But here's where I'm a little shocked. So we got Troy Aikman, we got Emmitt Smith, and now we've got Primetime. Now, I'm not saying that it's shocking that you pick Primetime being from New York and all. I'm just saying, Justice. But I'm surprised that none of you thought about Michael Irvin. Why not?
Well, let me jump in here, Roland. And the reason why I can't say Michael Irvin, even though Michael Irvin was a hell of a player, at the end of the day, he still needs someone to get him the ball. So, with that being said, my pick of Emmitt Smith, it was just like, okay, handoff left, handoff right, handoff up the middle. Troy Aikman just doesn't have to do too much. But if Troy Aikman has a bad day, then Michael Irvin has a bad day. But, even if the offensive line has a bad day, Emmitt Smith is still having a good day. So I think Emmitt Smith had more so, to gain throughout the offensive scheme, being that, back in the day, it was all about the running game. So, okay. But I definitely don't want to discredit Michael Irvin. But at the end of the day, I would definitely have to say Emmitt Smith.
Hey, you make a valid point there, Robert. But you know what? What's unique about what we just mentioned? This kind of shows you just the type of team that was actually put together, right? Aikman, Emmitt, you had Larry Allen. On the defensive side, you had Primetime. you had a lethal offense with a dominating defense. Now, let's bring this back to Dak. Here's what I am fearing the most for the Cowboys, because we know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. The market is getting ready to be reset, and we all know why. The market is getting ready to be reset mainly because that guy in Kansas City, that is a beast of a quarterback. He's a talent, and what he has done in 2 years and what he's done on that field is definitely going to warrant him and Lee Steinberg, his agent, to reset the market. Now, the question will be, how high will the market be reset? What's your thoughts on that, Jeremy?
Well, I mean, they're definitely going to try to reset the market, of course. That fifth-year option he wanted was valued at $45 million. So, I mean, the latest thing I heard was that he's definitely trying to push over that $40 million threshold. The question is whether he's going to be able to command that or not after this season.
You feel the same way out there in New York, Justice?
Well, let me just say, whether it's Patrick Mahomes or guys like Nick Foles who won a few playoff games, any quarterback who comes into the free agent market, who's coming off a good year or still in his prime, they are going to reset the market. It doesn't matter if you're a Hall of Fame quarterback or you're just coming off a 1 good year. Teams are always going to want quarterbacks. They're always going to need quarterbacks. And if you hit the free agency market and you're a quarterback coming off a good year or still in your prime, you will reset the market. It doesn't matter. It's always going to happen. The quarterback position will always be the most important. And I don't see it changing.
I tell you, you hit a great point there, Justice, and what I foresee happening with the Cowboys, if they don't make the playoffs, if they don't make a deep push into the playoffs, or if not win the championship, I think the issue that they will encounter is how do they go back to the drawing board, renegotiate with Dak after the market has now been reset. And for all the fans out there, when we are talking about markets being reset and salary caps and how much money is being carried over, there's so much that goes on between the owners and the general managers and the coaches and the player agents and the player on how to figure out those numbers, how those numbers carry out. And baked in to all of these contracts, you have various incentives. And I'm not talking about your normal incentive if, hey, you win the Super Bowl, you get X amount of money. I'm talking about, hey, if I get X amount of catches in X amount of games, I get an incentive. There's a lot that goes into contract formulations in the NFL. It's probably one of the most wickedest things I've ever encountered and been a part of. But I tell you, it's an eye-opener from a business perspective because it just lets you know how much these professionals, these director of player management, director of player personnel, how much these individuals play into bringing in a player and then the business side coming into the fold to determine how much salary cap is there, how long do we want to really bake into this individual, and if that money is not there, how do we go back and fix this? It is one of the most dynamic things I know I've ever been a part of, and since we're live today, I want to take the opportunity to recognize a couple of folks out there. I see some folks out there watching us. We got, well, look at here. We got Doug Shess watching in. We got, that's right. That's General Doug Shess from Florida watching in. We got Steve Bisbee. Great to see you there, Steve. We got an old co-worker of mine. And then we got Jason Elmore. Jason Elmore and I went to Colorado State. As you can see, I'm always rocking my Rams gear here. Jason has a comment. Jason is hilarious, guys. Jason's comment was he wants to talk about how he was the sole winner of a basketball championship back at Colorado State when he was a member of Detachment 90. Well, guess what, Jason? That ain't the show today, brother. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about football in the NFL, and I'm so happy to be joined here today with three of my colleagues. We got Jeremy Coleman coming out of Indiana. We got Justice Gordon coming out of New York. And we got Robert Parker coming out of New Jersey. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break, pay some bills, and we'll be right back with the Extra Point.
Messages received.
Welcome back to the Extra Point. I am your host, Roland Rainey, the CEO of R2 Sports Management, and I am joined here today with three of my football scout colleagues. Jeremy Coleman coming out of Indiana, Robert Parker coming out of New Jersey, and coming out of the great state of New York is Justice Gordon. So earlier we were talking about Dak Prescott and his contract. Very unique situation. Only time will tell to see how the season goes for him. But I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the market gets reset and what Jerry Jones and that Cowboys organization do to go back and look at what they actually provided Dak and how does that look moving forward for any future negotiations. And speaking of that, Dak held out for a while. We got another person out there, guys, who's holding out, and that is Dalvin Cook. So what's the deal here? Dalvin decides to hold out. Is he the type of player that should be reaching for a big contract at, Jeremy?
I definitely think he is should be pushing for that big contract. While he was healthy last year, he was the focal point of the Minnesota Vikings offense. A lot of their passing game is built off how successful their running game is with their play-action passing attack. And he, like many running backs, is still playing on his rookie contract. So he's not getting paid a lot to play a position that handles all the wear and tear of tackling every time he touches the football. I definitely think he's in a little bit of a predicament here, though, with the new central bargaining agreement being passed, because as in previous years, there weren't quite the amount of fines. But don't get me wrong, we still got fined. But one of the big sticking points in this CBA was the owners were tired of players doing this. So there are more fines and much heavier fines attached to holding out this year. So he's made the decision that he's willing to take that type of a hit. I understand it because it's going to get more money down the road. But it's definitely a different gamble this year as it would have been to be in years past.
Hey, Jeremy, man, you hit something that I think a lot of players, even though they all had to agree to the new collective bargaining agreement, but yes, there are a tremendous amount of nuances in that CBA, and I don't know if a lot of players out there have taken that into consideration when negotiating these contracts. What do you think there, Robert?
Well, Roland, in regards to Dalvin Cook's contract, I think the Vikings
to lock him up.